How many
So in some,
Tasmanian devil jokes have you heard over the years?
probably all of them.
Metal Radio. I don't dance. I headbang.
I'm really glad to have with me Dave Haley from Psycroptic. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Well, I was very excited to meet you guys because I got to see you last year in Brutal Assault live. And
Okay,
it
cool.
was you were one of the bands that I really wanted to see live, and it was very lucky that you were playing the festival. And after I think I saw you play Architects of Extinction, the single
Mm,
that went out last year, which
yeah.
was probably to celebrate your signing with Metalblade.
I guess that was our first single with Metalblade. We actually recorded the track before we'd signed.
Okay.
We've always been pretty DIY and always done a lot of stuff in house. So once we were out of contract, we just kept working, and we recorded just a new single, I guess, to shop around to a couple of labels. And before we got to shop it to anyone, Metal Blade heard it and offered us a deal. So they were always on, the top of our list in terms of labels to work with. So yeah, it worked out perfectly.
I am pretty aware of who Psycroptic is, but just in case, let's go back to 1999.
It's a long time ago. Yep.
It's a long time ago. Give us a brief bio of the band, the story so far. It's many years, but
It's
I
a lot.
guess your country doesn't help, right?
Well, Australia's pretty isolated from the rest of the world, and especially when we started, there was no Facebook, there was no Spotify, there's no.
Mm-hmm.
This is even pre MySpace, so we're definitely isolated from the rest of the scene, and from Tasmania, isolated from the rest of Australia as well.
How many
So in some,
Tasmanian devil jokes have you heard over the years?
probably all of them. None of them are any good.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, like it was definitely an exciting time because we were so cut off from everyone else. The only metal music we got is albums that we ordered in, or a friend taped it. So it was very magical in that regards, that everything was so fresh and exciting. Now I think it's a little bit too easy to get music and listen to two
I
seconds
think
of
it's
it.
both easy and difficult because
Yeah,
there's too much information, too many bands, and some might get lost
yeah,
between the cracks.
yeah, exactly. So definitely when we started, just that naivety and just being cut off, it probably helped us a lot in creating our own sound and doing our own thing, other than, as opposed to being influenced by a scene that we grew up in. There was not many other bands when we started in Tasmania.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have a very distinct sound as a band. Can you tell me a few things about your influences, your inspiration, your creative process?
I think the uniqueness in the sound comes from everyone's vastly different musical tastes in the band. Everyone comes together, and there's some common ground, but there's also, um, I guess, for example, I'm more into the extreme end of stuff, and then Joe, who writes the majority of the music, he tastes are closer to 80s rock and 80s progressive music than, listening to the new whatever album. So I guess coming together, it's like a melting pot. So long as the idea is cool and the riff is catchy and it, I guess it makes sense in the terms of the song. We don't, we're not discriminatory towards any sort of idea. So it's helped us develop our own, very unique sound that, thankfully people are into.
Do you ever intervene when there's something that you've come up with and you're working on and it gets off the track of what your sound is like?
To be honest, not really. No, I think that's what keeps it pretty fresh for us. I will like the process. It's always an evolving process. So when the songs are initially written, Joe will send me, I guess, a bunch of ideas, and I'll kind of put the structures together with him before tracking the drums. And once we've tracked the drums, that's kind of the skeleton. So then Joe can take that back, and riffs might completely change. So I might record a song to certain riffs, and then by the end of it, it's actually a bit different. So it's an always evolving process, and almost self-editing as well. So I guess that any riffs that aren't quite there or Joe's not really happy with, they might get thrown away, or he might put them aside and use them later. But he's got my drum tracks that I've recorded to, I guess, to build on as well. So it's in the past we'd written the songs to completion in the rehearsal room and then going into the studio, and then that's how they are. But now it's much more a dynamic process. We're kind of writing and refining all the way through.
So the reason why we're here is your upcoming album, which comes out on July 17th, The Pulse of Annihilation. Tell me a few things about what's new and what remains the same in The Pulse of Annihilation.
I guess it's a pretty hard question to answer because I'm so close to it. I never really know what the album's going to sound like until it's done. So, we're always trying to write the best song each time we write a song, and when we're trying to put together an album, we're trying to write the best album. But it's not until you step back and listen to it after it's completed that you really see it for what it is. Stepping back from this one, to me, it feels like a much more, I guess, a bit more of a mid-paced album as opposed to some of our earlier stuff. Definitely that wasn't planned. It was just how it came out. It seems to have a lot more melody than other albums, but it feels very cohesive. It feels like an album that you listen to from start to finish. That's once I'm finished my parts, I get to take quite a bit of I guess break from it, and I'll hear it intermittently, and then I'll hear like a pre-mix, and then some more of my ideas will come into it. So it's an album that it wasn't difficult to write, we definitely worked very hard on it, but it wasn't, we didn't kind of hit any brick walls in terms of creativity. It's pretty natural. It does take quite a long time for us to write and record albums, but this one wasn't a challenge.
Any favorite songs?
I do quite like the first single that came out. To be honest, I didn't like it in the studio. So Gathering a Venomous Herd, when I was recording it, I scrapped all my drums. That was the last song I recorded, and I scrapped everything before, everything that I'd kind of worked on and rehearsed. That was a song, you know, I'm going to contradict exactly what I said before. That was the song that didn't come together for me. Everything else was pretty easy. This one, I just wasn't feeling it. I rewrote it in the studio, kind of on the day of recording, and then came back to it later, and listening to it from afar, it's like it grew on me a lot. And now that I'm rehearsing it again to play it live, I'm really enjoying that one. It's super catchy, mid-paced, a little bit different from other songs in our set. So that one's cool, and I really like No Blade of Grass, which it's kind of the other end of the spectrum. It's a bit of a faster song, lots of double kick and blast beats. So those two would probably be my favorite to play.
Well, for me, it was A Sword of Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number one in the album.
Okay,
and,
awesome.
Forging the Crown. It seemed like you were putting some new elements in that particular one, and I like the new enhancement.
Okay. No, that's awesome. It's always great to hear everyone's what resonates with them the most. It's always going to be different, and it's never going to be wrong. Like, I've got my own opinions. The other guys have got their own opinions. So the feedback is cool.
Tell me about using. I saw in the press release that you're using two vocalists, both Jasons. I guess you have to be a Jason to sing. Tell me, how does that work?
So yeah, we've got Jason Kaiser, Jason Pepiot. As I've said, when we get asked this question, it's like it's a little bit unorthodox, but you know, at the end of the day, it's our band and we do whatever we want. And
true,
it also adds freshness, some new creative elements, and makes it exciting for us again, because it's something new, something different. So Kaiser, who also sings in Origin, he'd filled in on a few tours that Jason Pepe couldn't do, you know, just because life gets in the way sometimes. We all get along, everyone gets along, and I guess we started out trying the two vocalists on a single a few years ago, just as like a guest spot, but it worked really well. So we just lent into it a little bit more. So it's like, what would happen if we put two vocalists together with two different ideas over the whole thing? And yeah, it was either going to work really, really well or not. And I think it works.
It works
really,
perfect.
Really well.
It works
perfect.
It's great. And I think it gives you a lot more potential as to how you can express creatively. It gives you it enriches the whole effect.
Yeah, exactly. So it's great getting that feedback as well, that the listeners feel the same way as us.
What feedback have you gotten so far from the first single? What are your fans saying?
I guess it's been overwhelmingly positive so far. I don't know whether, you know, sometimes you get it into a bit of an echo chamber, and you know, people aren't going to tell you what they really think. But for the most part, it's been very positive. Which, yeah, you're always a little bit nervous when putting out an album. It's like, how is this going to get received? I'd be lying if I said we weren't. But then on the flip side, it's like, you got to do it anyway, because we'd be writing and recording this music anyway. So it's not going to change. It's just, and we're not going to change because someone, you know, writes a negative comment about us or tells us in person they don't like the way we sound. But for the most part, yeah, it's been
Do you still get
very positive.
anxious when you take out new music? Do you still have that anxiety of how it will be perceived? Or is it more of a process that you do to express yourselves?
It's definitely something we just almost have to do. Like we, as a band, we're always kind of writing and recording, and this far in, 27 years, it's like we can't stop. Why would we? So we're going to keep going. But yeah, the ego does get a little bit nervous because you want people to like it, but then on the flip side, it's like, well, we're going to be doing it anyway. But luckily, so far it's been overwhelmingly positive, which it's always cool. And then
Well, you
that's
haven't let
inspiring.
us down. That helps.
We'll try not to.
Your brother takes care of the production as well.
Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
because you want more freedom? Because I'm thinking that most of the times a producer who comes in always gives some creative input.
I think no. Initially, it was just to give Joe a job, basically. If we're being honest. So back in the day, he taught himself how to record and produce with Psycroptic. And it comes back to that DIY ethos. We're always trying to do stuff ourselves, but being a little bit cut off as well in Tasmania, not so much these days, but in the early days, we didn't even know what a producer was. No idea. So we're always just going to do it ourselves. And then you get a little bit further in and you're like, well, it's working so far. Why would we change it?
True.
We've had
True in
other
sports.
people.
It's true in music. If it works,
Yeah,
why change it?
yeah, it's working, and it does. I guess Joe ending the studio opens up more creative possibilities. Also allows us longer time in the studio. But on the flip side, that could be a hindrance in some regard because we can spend a long time on things when there's no clock. And sometimes, you just spend all that time and you come back to where you started.
That's what I was thinking, because you say that you change things a lot. So how do you put a stop to it and say, nope, I'm not changing anything else. It's okay.
Well, you just have to set an end date. And
Okay.
I have to do that with Joe quite a lot because he'll keep working on things. It's like, dude, it's done. Like we have to send it off. So he'd still be working on it now if he wasn't given a cutoff date. So there's a lot of freedom, but at the end of the day, sometimes we just have to take it off him and say, well, you're never going to be happy with it. We're out of time. So definite pros and cons. In terms of, I guess, changing all the way along, we're getting better at that, if that makes. We're getting better at self-editing as we go and being a little bit more prepared. But then that just opens up a few more different creative doors. The more prepared you are, you can build on that even more. So, yeah, I think that's, maybe that's why it takes us quite some time between albums because we do have the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know we can't leave it any more than 4 years between albums. So it's like, okay, it's done. Send it off. It's done.
Well, I can remember that you were pretty early in the morning in Brutal Assault last year, but the crowd was quite digging what you were doing. Tell me about the impact the European tour had. And then you went on to a tour I wish I could watch with you guys and Neobliviscaris. It's a band I love also, and it was in the US.
the I think that's one thing we've noticed with Psycroptic. We can fit on a lot of different bills.
Mm-hmm.
We can go out with a band like Nile, and we can go out with a band like Near Believer Scaris. But maybe those two bands couldn't go out together. I guess we kind of straddle between different genres, which is great. It opens us up to a lot of new different fans, potential fans that would have never heard us in the past. It's coming back to Brutal Assault. That's one of my favorite festivals to play. It's just such a great vibe. It's perfect size. It's big, but it's not too big. The lineups are always killer. So to have a really, I felt that was a very good show for us.
What about the rest of Europe?
That one was, I'm just trying to think because there's been a few tours in between. Europe's always very kind to us. It's, I guess any bad shows will stick out more than the good shows, if that makes sense. But that was a shorter European run of, I think, about 2 weeks. We did a few festivals, like there was Tolminator. That was a great festival. Brutal Assault. There was a couple more. It's a little bit early in the morning, so my brain's not fully fired up yet.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a 2-week tour. And then we, as you said, we did North America with Near Believer Scaris and Rivers of Nil last year as well. That was a very cool tour.
You said before that you can fit into a billing with Near Believer Scaris and Nile. So how would you describe your genre? Could you say that we are technical death metal, we are groove death metal, we are, I mean,
yeah, it's
progressive,
definitely in the early days.
maybe.
Yeah,
all of it together.
It's a mishmash. In the early days, we were definitely like a tech death band, I would say, but each album's kind of an evolution on the one that came before us. So we've not consciously, but we have moved away from the tech death sound, I would say, even though our riffs are maybe technically challenging to play. We're not like a technical band in terms of crazy, impossible to play stuff, if that makes sense. So the riffs are technical, song structure is simple, as opposed to like a tech death band where everything's just too crazy. I can appreciate that as a fan, but I'm not really listening to that style of music, to be honest. And the tech death tag for us, I don't get offended by it, but I don't think it really suits these days. I think we're kind of evolved into our own thing, which is cool. It's just a mishmash of all different styles put together. Joe is probably more influenced by 80s progressive rock than the latest tech death release. I don't think he would be able to name a tech death band, to be honest. I think that his eclectic musical taste help keep us sounding fresh and original. So yeah, I don't know how to categorize us.
Being the drummer of the band makes you the heartbeat of the band. Do you have some go-to techniques in order to get on stage? Do you have some sort of preparation? Do you slip out?
There's, I guess, as you get older, this style of music doesn't get any easier to play. So I definitely have to warm up and make sure my chops are up to where they should be to play the songs. So at home, I'm always rehearsing, try to play most days, because if you don't use it, the cliche, you know,
Yeah.
if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'd rather just keep playing. So
Okay.
by the time tours come around, usually I'm in pretty good match fitness because I've been rehearsing the songs for, you know, a month or two beforehand.
You train by exercises? Do you follow some teacher, some coach, some
Well, I guess over the years, I've had many different teachers over the years, and you know, I've been a teacher myself, off and on for 15 years. But you can always learn. You can always improve. I just make sure I try to play for an hour a day, kind of minimum. I literally will put a stopwatch on because some days you don't want to do it. Some days you
it's
couldn't
like
think
the
of anything
gym.
else.
You have to force yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to turn up. Motivation is very flimsy. You know, you just got to stay disciplined. So I try to do that I say every day, but some days I miss for whatever reason. But at least 5 days a week, I'm doing an hour of either Psycroptic songs or practicing techniques that I need for the songs, or writing songs, or whatever.
Can you remember a weird incident that has happened to you during a show or during a recording?
Okay. One that came to mind straight away was I was playing a show a few years ago, and I actually had a fold-back speaker fall off, take out the computer that was next to me and some of my equipment. So that was pretty weird. You don't expect that to happen.
What happened?
Well, we stopped.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to play when you got a speaker sitting on your leg. Luckily, it was in the
No
second last
injuries
song.
though, right?
No injuries, which was I don't know how I avoided injuries, but yeah, it was that was kind of unique. You know, you don't expect that to happen every day.
Yeah. True. And the best thing you've heard from a fan or from a journalist or someone during all those years of Psycroptic, something that stands out?
Yeah, the thing that stands out and it blows my mind is when someone comes up with a Psycroptic tattoo. You know, that's always, yeah, wow. That's wild. You know, this band that we created in our parents' attic, and Joe hand drew the logo, and you know, we spent you know, all these hours behind the scene. It kind of makes it all worth it when it means something that's so close to you means so much to someone else. That always blows my mind. So nothing I can pinpoint in terms of like an exact quote, but that's the one that just blows my mind. Someone will roll up and, you know, pull up their sleeve or pull up their leg, and it's like, wow, that's pretty wild.
Well, music is meant to feel something, to make you feel something. So if the music passes through, it's something you want to carry on.
And sometimes sometimes you're so close to it, you don't appreciate that it means a lot to someone else as well. You know, sometimes you get stuck in your own little void, own little echo chamber, and you feel like you're only creating it for yourself. But once it's out there, it's gone to everyone. Now anyone can claim ownership of it in terms of what it means to them, and you do forget that. But that's also the positive when people come to the show and they actually remind you. It's like, wow, people do like us. Cool.
Any chances of you coming to Greece?
I'd love to. It's definitely on the list. We haven't been there yet. It's not that we don't want to come. It just hasn't happened as yet.
Europe in general?
So. We'll come to Europe next year. probably January, February at this stage. And maybe twice. We'll see how it goes. Like, we're kind of booking about 6 to 8 months ahead of time at the moment. But yeah, Greece is definitely on the top of my list. It's like, why haven't we been there? We just haven't. Like, George from Nye is a very good friend of mine, and he's always talking about how much he loves Greece. So I've got to come and take him up on his hospitable offer.
Okay. Let's hope that happens. So, any last things that you'd like to add about the Pulse of Annihilation, which is coming out on July 17th on Metal Blade?
If you haven't heard us, check it out. I think it's our best album thus far. I think it's the culmination of everything we've done. So for an introductory album, and if you haven't heard the band, definitely start there. And for long-term, medium-term, short-term fans, really hope you dig it. Just let us know what you think of it. In person, or send us an email, or however you want to get in touch.
And the best way would be to catch you guys live.
Totally.
I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We love it.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for this interview.
No, my pleasure.